Fame was never Jarrod Schulz's goal. However, Storage Wars thrust him into the public eye. He became one of the show's most enduring young guns, with his sharp wit and combustible interaction with Brandy Pezzanti, adding excitement and unpredictable elements to each episode. But life was much more challenging away from the cameras. Fans were left wondering what actually transpired after legal issues, personal hardships, and a sudden departure from the series. What caused Jarrod to vanish from the show that brought him fame? And what caused him to fail? You might not expect the answers. On October 15, 1977, Jarrod Schulz was born in Long Beach, California. He was inquisitive and enjoyed deciphering how things operated from an early age. At home, however, things were far from stable. He veered off course without a solid basis, dropping out of high school and turning to crime. When he was arrested for felony possession of a controlled substance in 1997, his decisions finally caught up with him. Initially, it appeared that a brief sentence might serve as the necessary wake-up call. He was sentenced to 60 days after entering a guilty plea to possession of meth. However, Jarrod found himself in trouble again a few weeks later, this time for driving while intoxicated and trafficking drugs. He was sentenced to 16 months in prison for the second offense, and that ended up being the pivotal moment in his life. He witnessed the reality of his path's direction while incarcerated. Having to live with dangerous criminals made him face his decisions. He joined a substance abuse treatment and made an effort to become clean, since he was determined not to become like them. He was prepared to start over when he was released from prison. When he accepted a position as a sales office manager for a carpet cleaning business in Tustin, California in 1999, that new beginning got underway. He encountered Brandy Pezzanti, who had recently been employed there. Their partnership wasn't easy at start. Technically, Jarrod was her supervisor, and dating wasn't exactly permitted at work. Friends even left comments on his truck, encouraging him to be kinder to her, teasing him about being too rough around the edges. Jarrod persisted, nevertheless. It wasn't love at first sight, as Brandy subsequently acknowledged. She claimed that until she gave him a chance, Jarrod wore her down by following her around like a puppy. Jarrod, who joked that he had to make up for not being the most attractive person in the group, recognized that his greatest assets were wit and perseverance. When the two eventually began dating, they both quit their jobs to pursue their relationship outside of the office in order to avoid any issues at work. Jarrod dreamed of becoming his own boss while earning a living by taking odd jobs, such as a maintenance position at a mobile home park. He founded Outlaw Apparel, a clothing and accessory company designed specifically for the motorcycle community. As a result of this concept, because of his cultural awareness, the brand resonated and acquired popularity fast, providing Jarrod with his first taste of true business success. Currently, Jarrod Schulz and Brandy Pezzanti have 2 children together, Cameron and Peyton, despite never having been married. Although the children have mostly been kept out of the spotlight, Brandy has been candid about some of the difficulties they encountered as children. Peyton, her daughter, needed surgery at the age of 6 weeks due to her cleft palate and deafness at birth. She was able to hear for the first time after the initial treatment on her ears. Peyton had a verbal deficit after the surgery, but speech therapy helped him catch up. Her hearing eventually recovered completely, and Brandy has proudly stated how being a member of the school cheerleading squad really increased her confidence and enhanced her speaking. Cameron also experienced a health scare. A tumor on his kidney was found by doctors during a regular examination for a urological condition. It was initially observed without treatment, but after a while, symptoms appeared. Lori Pezzanti, his grandmother, described how Cameron missed a major portion of high school during the 3 months he spent in the Children's Hospital of Orange County. In addition to family issues, Jarrod was facing personal challenges. He abandoned his previous career path to try his hand at the mortgage market when he and Brandy had a family. Jarrod worked to support the family while Brandy stayed at home to raise the kids. However, he did not have good timing. He started working in mortgages in the mid-2000s, right before the housing market crashed. He struggled to find work after the crash, lost his job, and was not receiving benefits. He had little to do and few prospects after working in the field for almost 10 years. At that moment, a family member directed him to something very different: auctions for storage units. Desperate for a fresh start and curious, Jarrod made the decision to try it. He and Brandy soon found themselves sifting through other people's discarded possessions, bidding on lockers and making money by reselling goods. They soon accumulated so much goods that it started to fill their entire house. They were about to land on an episode of Hoarders, Jarrod would later joke. They transformed the issue into an opportunity rather than allowing the clutter to take over. Periodically, the two opened their own second-hand store, a tiny business that signaled the start of a completely new chapter in their lives that would ultimately lead them down a path neither could have foreseen. Brandy and Jarrod kept going to storage unit auctions as their thrift store started to gain traction. Jarrod struck up a chat with a television producer who was working on a brand new idea during one of those auctions. Eventually, the concept would become the television program that became known as Storage Wars. After several months, the same producer contacted Now and Then and dispatched a camera crew to shoot. That day, Brandy just so happened to be at the store, and her personality instantly jumped out. A casual encounter soon evolved into something far more significant. The producers gave them both a spot on the show after being impressed by her innate charm and the bond she had with Jarrod. Storage Wars gained popularity almost immediately after its 2010 debut. The young guns, Brandy and Jarrod, gained popularity among fans because of their teasing, competitive spirit, and keen bidding intuition. At first, the possibility had appeared modest to them. Jarrod once acknowledged that, even if the show only ran for one season, they only anticipated a little amount of recognition for their store. Rather, it turned into a cultural phenomenon that profoundly altered their lives. All of a sudden, ordinary experiences carried a fresh sense of recognition. Small indulgences like dining at restaurants where chefs would surprise them with delicacies off the menu simply because they were recognized began to appear as their standard of life increased. It seemed like winning the jackpot to family and friends, a fortunate turn of events that had resulted in success in the most surprising way. However, celebrity had its own set of difficulties. Given that neither he nor Brandy had intended to become TV stars, Jarrod acknowledged that being in the spotlight wasn't always easy. Their world abruptly transformed. Opportunities presented themselves, but they also came with the challenge of adapting to a completely new way of living. Jarrod and Brandy made the decision to leave the popular series after 4 seasons of success. But not because they were done with TV. Rather, they were cast in their own spin-off, Married to the Job, starring Brandy and Jarrod. The show's 2014 premiere moved the focus from storage unit disputes to their daily lives. The couple was shown to viewers in further detail as parents, thrift store owners, and partners attempting to arrange a wedding after 15 years of dating. The show, which leaned on suburbia dysfunction and family humor, was inspired by Duck Dynasty. This was not going to be another treasure hunt series. As stated in a press release at the time, it has to do with the Schulz-Pesanta family. Their constant arguments, oddball parenting moments, and the frequently difficult juggling act of work and home life were all visible to viewers. Planning their wedding, or rather, their failure to make it to the altar, was one of the main plot points. From the beginning, Jarrod appeared disinterested, even suggesting that Brandy look for a substitute husband. He urged her to choose a dress off the sale rack, which led to yet another dispute, which only made the tension worse. Brandy said that his persistent pessimism made her feel as though she was organizing a wedding he didn't want to go to, even though she made an effort to remain focused. The dysfunction also permeated other aspects of the show. Jarrod pushed for the construction of a bar inside the house and urged their children to wager during a game of pool, both of which Brandy vehemently opposed. She described marriage as something you simply endure side by side until the very end, in her own words. Both stars later returned to Storage Wars after the spin-off was scrapped after just 1 season. Their intense chemistry from the first series was still a standout feature. Their disputes over business choices and bidding tactics were well liked by the public. So much so that A&E put out a video compilation of their best on-screen altercations. One particularly noteworthy instance occurred when Brandy unintentionally raised her hand during an auction and made an unintended offer. In order for the auctioneer to count the bids under Bry's name, Jarrod utilized the incident to start a prank war by surreptitiously upping bids behind her back. She was irritated and forced to pay for lockers she never wanted after the joke didn't sit well with her. Things weren't much simpler outside of television. While raising their two children, Cameron and Peyton, Brandy and Jarrod occasionally co-owned their thrift business in Orange, California, but their relationship soon soured. They kept it a secret for years after their discreet separation in November 2018. It wasn't until 2020 that the public learned about it. According to accounts, Jarrod was charged with resisting arrest in Lake Forest, California, the previous year. In an interview with The Dad Diary that same year, Brandy first acknowledged the breakup. She clarified that she was parenting their kids alone, which she acknowledged she had been doing for a while. It was difficult, particularly when the epidemic added to the stress. However, Brandy made it apparent that she was responsible for the day-to-day tasks. The only thing that's really missing in my household is that intimidating dad voice in the background, she continued, with a hint of humor. Additionally, Brandy talked candidly about the difficulties of parenting teenagers, Cameron and Peyton, during such a significant life transition. It was difficult for them to move from living with both parents to living with her alone, she said. She claimed that emotions frequently ran high. She acknowledged that her children were going through a lot and clarified that she needed to proceed cautiously, allowing them time to digest and recover in their own manner. The relationship between Brandy and Jarrod remained tense even after a few years. She acknowledged in an interview with Distractify that she was glad she didn't see him frequently. Although she acknowledged that she wishes things had gone more smoothly, she described the relationship as stressful and said they were able to get through it. However, Storage Wars enthusiasts weren't too surprised by the split. The signs had been visible to viewers for years. On screen, Brandy and Jarrod argued a lot about business matters, and frequently did so in manners that suggested more serious issues. What at the time might have appeared to be harmless shenanigans turned out to be a window into their actual hardships. Behind the scene, there were rumors of infidelity, financial troubles, and disputes over commercial endeavors. Later seasons only made the tension between them more apparent, supporting rumors that their relationship was failing. Although neither Brandy nor Jarrod have revealed the entire tale in public, their choice to keep the split quiet for 2 years demonstrates how cautious they were about their private lives. The separation appeared inevitable in the end. The bond that had previously kept them together had vanished due to the strains of work, family, and reality TV. Perhaps the best course of action for them both was to move on. Fans who hadn't followed the story were in for a surprise when Storage Wars Season 13 debuted in August 2021. Separately, Brandy and Jarrod showed up at the same auction and announced to everyone that their relationship was finished. Jarrod stressed that they were completely alone, but he made it apparent that the breakup wasn't preventing him from attending. The stress now appeared on screen very rapidly. When Brandy sought a unit Jarrod had his eye on, she had her friend Mary bid for her, and she called him a fool for a $400 bid. Jarrod responded with his own kind of retaliation, suggesting that he would bid simply to outbid Brandy for a locker. And on a different unit, he accomplished just that. Even though their breakup was widely known, some fans thought the two could maintain a cordial, even friendly relationship. Rather, the show turned them from partners into rivals who were fighting for the greatest storage spaces. They frequently used sarcasm and frustration in their on-screen interactions. Nevertheless, devoted supporters persisted in hoping they may at least manage to maintain good relations. Their personal lives were changing drastically outside of the show. After uploading a picture of the two at Disneyland in January 2020, Jarrod made his relationship with Rochelle Beckman public. He had since moved on and was publicly dating her. After feeling overshadowed for years, Brandy eventually stepped into her own identity in interviews, revealing that she was more interested in rediscovering herself. By that point, it was evident that the split was influencing the show's new course. Brandy went so far as to edit Jarrod out of pictures or use emojis to hide his face while promoting Storage Wars on social media. While Jarrod returned to the series with his typical brazen confrontational style, she talked candidly about the breakup. When the two met at a pub in Orange County in April 2021, things took a far worse turn. What began as a disagreement evolved into a furious altercation. After Brandi told Jarrod to leave, witnesses claimed he shoved her twice. Additionally, a report was filed even though she fled before the cops showed up. Jarrod was eventually charged with 1 count of misdemeanor domestic violence battery by the Orange County District Attorney. Executives from A&E were alerted to the situation and promptly started considering severing their relationship with Jarrod. He was supposed to leave the show during that time. Jarrod ultimately entered a not guilty plea and fought to get the charges dropped, but there haven't been many developments in the case. Jarrod was conspicuously missing when Storage Wars returned for season 14 in 2022, but Brandi was back. His departure seemed permanent, even if no formal statement provided an explanation. Jarrod Schulz has used social media, particularly Facebook, to update his supporters on his life since leaving Storage Wars. He appears to be content with his partner, Rel Beckman, and has been leading a full life. He posted more photographs of himself grinning with happiness after introducing her on Instagram with a picture from a spa day. Others couldn't help but bring up his past with Brandi Passante, and many admirers are still hoping for a reunion, even as some supporters congratulated him. Since Storage Wars, his career on reality TV has been relatively quiet. The only other show he has appeared on, other from his spin-off with Brandi, is Celebrity Car Wars, which was broadcast on the History Channel's Southeast Asian branch. He participated in every episode of Season 2 in 2017. Filmed in the Philippines against actor Guy Rachin Supra Cobb, comedian Harath Iskanda, and model Aaron Yuktadata. Joking about how much fun it was to collide cars, Jarrod called the encounter a dream gig. However, he acknowledged that the most challenging aspect was acclimating to Philippine traffic, where he claimed that drivers needed to maintain a high level of alertness to prevent collisions. Jarrod once advertised his clothing line, Outlaw Apparel, which is renowned for its edgy, rock-inspired designs outside of television. It offered children's, women's, and men's shirts. However, the brand seems to have vanished today. The website's social media accounts have been inactive for years and the domain is for sale. Although Jarrod has never made an official announcement about its closure, it appears that the brand has failed. Occasionally, fans even inquired about his now closed Orange County thrift business. Jarrod, however, did not simply vanish. He changed direction. He described Rush Bar and Grill, which he established in Lake Forest, California, in April 2019, as a new beginning and a means of establishing a fantastic local destination. Promoting the bar now takes up a large portion of his social media presence. Fans of Storage Wars are still familiar with Jarrod, even if he is no longer the focus of reality TV. It's unclear if he will ever make a comeback to television, but the idea never goes away. The more significant question is whether his past will always cloud his future, or if fans would embrace his return following his breakup with Brandi. I appreciate you watching. To keep up with our most recent material, please like, subscribe, comment, and enable post notifications if you liked it.